Hi, I'm Bart Hanson. I'm the owner and lead instructor for CrushLivePoker.com. The following hand comes from our call-in show that we record live at 2 p.m. Eastern Time every Monday. If you enjoy this video, hit that like button, and if you want to submit to be on the show, take a look at the information in the description.
So this was before the world kind of went to crap. Bellagio 510 back in December.
So that's a
Hero was
510,
on.
1500 cap, right?
Yes, that's correct.
By the way,
And,
before you get into the hand, just a quick little thing about poker rooms in big Las Vegas casinos, what my take is. So obviously Las Vegas just opened, I think, this week. It wouldn't surprise me if a lot of these rooms don't open up, they don't reopen, at least until maybe like there's a vaccine. These casinos don't really make a whole lot of money off their poker. This is the polar opposite of the situation that I'm in Texas, where a card club is just a card club. All they do is poker. A place like the Bellagio, a place like the Wynn, I don't know if they're going to be in a rush to open their card rooms. I had a buddy of mine from Boston who said that he had heard some inside information about the Encore in Boston, that they're not going to open their poker room back up, if ever, which is actually quite astonishing. And it goes to show you how New Hampshire poker, which was about to die, is going to pick back up again. In New Hampshire, they only have card clubs. So I don't know if a place like Bellagio is going to have poker anytime soon. But anyways, okay, so 510, 1500 cap at Bellagio.
Yeah, so folds the hero with $2,600 and Jack of Diamonds, 9 of Spades on the button, who opens to $30. We have a flat in the small blind and a flat in the big blind.
All right,
the pot is $90.
So hero rate with a $2,600 stack raises Jack of Diamonds, 9 of Spades on the button, and both blinds call, right?
Yep, you got it.
Okay.
Flop comes King of Diamonds, 10 of Clubs, 5 of Diamonds. Small blind checks, big blind checks. And I decided to check back. Obviously, betting here is pretty good because I don't have any showdown value and do have a gutter to the nuts. But I feel like if I get check raised, my hand's just not good enough to continue, and I don't want to be betting all my garbage that isn't paired up into two players. So, could go either way. Yeah,
so it's King of Diamonds, 10 of Clubs, 5 of Diamonds, right? And you have Jack of Diamonds, 9 of Spades.
That's correct.
So, this is probably pretty close. It's always interesting to see a small blind flat. I don't know if these guys on the blind have you covered or what. Because against a button open, a small blind flat can sometimes be kind of a little bit of a fishy play, especially in a non-anteed game. And is Bellagio a drop game? I think it's a drop. Oh, or is it time? No, it's time, right? That 5-10 game at Bellagio, is that time? Or is it a rake game?
No, I think it is rigged as well. But I don't think this guy's even thinking on this level.
No, I'm just talking out loud because that's what I'm saying. Like, it's just kind of, if you're dealing like in a drop game, a non-ante drop game, and the button opens, a small blind flat is kind of a fishy play. Just right off the bat, number one. But you have the Jack of Diamonds in your hand. I would probably lean towards a bet with the Jack of Diamonds if it's close. I can see it's probably sometimes bet, sometimes check. So it gets checked through because you've got two overcards, a gut shot, and you have a diamond in your hand for backdoor equity, right? Check through.
Yeah.
Two overcards, a second pair.
Yeah, and I feel like this is a spot where like I'm going to bet some of the time, I'm going to check some of the time, and I just kind of decided to check this time. So yeah, that was kind of my thinking.
Okay.
So the turn is a really interesting card. It's the Queen of Diamonds.
Okay, so the Queen of Diamonds comes in, and that gives you the second straight, but it's a third diamond, but you have the Jack of Diamonds in your hand.
That's right.
Okay.
And the action goes, small blind checks, big blind bets $50. I raised to $150. The small blind flats $150, and the big blind then re-raises to $750.
So, Queen of Diamonds on the turn, check, big blind bets 50. Hero raises to 150. Small blind flats. And then the big blind 3 bets to 750. I mean, normally what I would say is that when that third diamond comes out and the big blind bets, especially in an LP configuration like this, where he's getting a really good price too, he's calling 20 pre-flop to win. I mean, you raise 30, the small blind called, he already has 10 in, so he's calling 20 to win 70. He should have a lot of suited hands here. He can have a lot of flushes in this particular spot. Now, if I was up against a very, very predictable opponent, I could consider raising the turn if I thought I was going to get called by worse. Like if he was really bad, like he would, bet call with the naked ace of diamonds. He'd bet call with any pair. But it would be a large exploit for me to raise this turn. Didn't you say in the email that the big blind was like a Euro Pro or something like that too?
Yeah, so he was a young Russian kid who was up about 6K on the session. Not trying to read into that too much, but I think he is a player type that's definitely capable of 3-bet bluffing. I know I talked about this a little bit in the email, but I feel like when the small blind flats, he's going to have a lot of pretty strong hands that are not nutted, like potentially 2 pairs, pair plus draws, that he's just going to have to fold to the 3-bet, which kind of makes that a dead money situation, which is kind of what compelled me to call. I mean, I think I can fold if I don't have a diamond in my hand, but with a diamond, it feels a little bit weak to just muck it here. I mean, I have a little bit of equity against some baby flushes.
Yeah, but he's making it
some ace.
He's making it really big though, right? Like he bet 50, you made it 150, the small blind flatted, and then he just made it 5x. I mean, at that point, 440, he's raising at least the size of the pot here. 50 to 150 call, and then he basically makes it 5x to 750. I mean, I know you've got the jack of diamonds in your hand, but I think this is probably just a fold. If he had raised a little bit smaller, like maybe, but I would still be concerned about him having the nuts. I don't know. It would just seem, I don't know if I've ever seen somebody make this play with like the ace of diamonds, right? Just, which would be the natural bluff here, the naked ace of diamonds. And, that would mean that he'd have an offsuit ace, like a little offsuit ace that was not 3-bet pre-flop, like ace 7 with the ace of diamonds or something like that, which is the nut flush draw and a gut shot here to a jack. He doesn't think that, you have a flush, you didn't bet the flop, small blind flats. I think you just have to give it up here, but I would seriously have considered just flatting the turn. But you continued, you called?
Yeah, I decided to call, and the small blind folded. I know people like some results. So he claimed to fold at 6-3 of diamonds behind. So he actually had his beat as well. But then the river is a really interesting card. I mean, I'm planning on just folding most rivers. I'm planning on calling like any diamond river, but the river is the king of hearts. And I thought that was a really interesting card because I think that, like I said this in the email, I think that I can have a lot of boats on this river and the big blind really can't. I mean, he's basically saying that he has a flush on the turn. So I was very much expecting him to either bet small or check on this river, but he decided to just bet $1,200. And it smelled kind of suspicious because
weird.
I don't really know what he's trying to say he has here.
That's definitely very, very odd to, he should, I feel like, almost always be checking here at the end. I mean, he 3-bet the turn, representing basically the nut flush, and you called. And now the river is a king, which gives all the kings up, full houses, pocket queens, tens, pocket tens. I'm trying to do the math here real quick too. So 750 a call, 1,500 on the turn, 1,650, 1,750, I believe, is the pot size going to the river, and the river is the king. And you say he bet 1,250?
He bet 1,200.
All right, so bets 1,200 into 1,750, which I guess is only a 2/3 pot size bet. But I mean, if you call, you only have. After you called the 750, I mean, you only have like 700 left, right, behind the 12. I mean, you only, you only have, moving to the river, you only have like maybe
I've got like 1750, 1800.
Right. So it's not like you
something like that.
Raising here. It's not like raising here accomplishes anything, because the pot is so big and you only have like 600 or 700 left. So you just think this is bizarre because he makes this bet here at the end.
Yeah, it made me curious. I thought for a really long time about hero calling, and I was going back and forth between, I'm so far at the bottom of my range here. Obviously, I can have all these full houses. I can have ace jack. I can have some flushes myself. But the line from the opponent just doesn't really make any sense. I mean, I'm the only one that can have queens full. I can certainly have some pocket kings that now quads that are just trapping on the flop. I can have some king 10 that just feels like that the board's so locked that decides not to bet the flop as well. And I eventually just leveled myself into thinking, I have to fold some hands. And
before you give the results, this is a spot where if you were deeper, you could even use that logic and be like, I'm going to turn my hand into a bluff here. I mean, ideally you would like to block some pairs in a spot like that, right? Like if you had maybe, I'm trying to think of a hand that you could have here, like queen jack offsuit with like the jack of diamonds as opposed to having like jack 9. But you can't do that obviously because you don't have any money behind. I just want to, thing of note. It's a very, very strange. Obviously, if he checks to you, I assume you're just going to check it back. But it is definitely a very, very strange bet here at the end. I mean, he might just think, well, I don't care because I'm trying to get value with the nut flush here. I don't care of the fact that the king paired. Like maybe he thinks that you turned a straight with ace jack or something like that. I would. I still think that I would. Well, I mean, I guess if you call the turn, it's interesting what you said before, though. You said you're calling any diamond on the turn. Excuse me, you're going to call any diamond on the river because, his primary bluffs on the turn we talked about with the ace of diamonds. And then if a diamond comes at the end and he still bets like a huge, then, he's saying, I've got the ace of diamonds. Obviously, you got there anyway, so maybe you make the call. But here, it's pretty odd. I mean, I probably would have just folded the turn. And here on the river, I think I probably still fold the river here. I think some of the stuff that you said that makes a lot of sense about you have a lot of better hands, but it is very odd. What ended up happening?
Yeah, so I did end up folding after about 4 minutes. And I just basically leveled myself into thinking that I'm pretty much at the stone bottom of range. And it sucks to obviously put in 750 on the turn just to fold on a card that's definitely more favorable for me than my opponent. But I definitely think that he could just be value jamming the ace high flush anyway.
Right.
Not jamming, but like value betting the ace high flush.
Right.
Even though I don't know if that's a great play for that sizing, but you just never know exactly what other people are up to in live poker.
Did you ever find out?
Unfortunately, I don't. Yeah, I don't know what he had. So that's what's a little bit unfortunate about it. But I thought it was an interesting hand nonetheless.
I don't know if that's. I mean, I don't know if calling here is going to be plus EV. I mean, again, this is a situation where you'd have to, this guy would have to find the right combos of bluffs to kind of make this play. And even if he is trying to find the right combos of bluffs to make this play, if he's at that level, he's still supposed to have river give ups here. And because he's not really ever really three betting the turn with almost anything but a flush, this should be a check, I would think, in theory. This is one of these situations where, when you go to the computer stuff and how a solver can help your game, you can sort of you can pump these like things in here and like kind of special situations where like, I wonder how this would be played at equilibrium. You might find that the nut flush is supposed to get the money in anyways. So I think that I would tend to fold off anyways, because maybe at this stack depth, which one pot size bet left, the nut flush is just betting anyways. So, it wouldn't surprise me here if you call and you're showing down the nut flush. It's just hard pressed to find like a ton of bluffs, but it's too bad we don't know the result. But anyways, I appreciate the call. Thank you very much. If you like what you've seen here, please hit the subscribe button. And if you enjoyed this call-in hand, hit the like button down below. To check out crushlivepoker.com, click on the link in the description. Use the code YTA300 to get the first 30 days for free.